This Monday, February 24th, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Roster brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $250 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for all the details. One to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Monday, February 24th. Here to get into the NBA schedule for the Monday card. We'll recap briefly what we saw over the weekend, give our thoughts on that, and of course, we'll handicap every single game here for you guys on the Monday schedule. Get you our Underdog Fantasy entry as well, and our lock and dog picks for the Monday card. So should be a lot of fun to go through all the games. But joining me here, of course, on this episode, here to help me break everything down, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the MLB Gambling Podcast, WNBA, and of course here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. A pretty fun weekend in the NBA. I know that Lonte and I had a pretty solid episode on Friday. I ended up sweeping my lock and dog picks. Also ended up winning the underdog entry. So a nice overall sweep there. I think it was 6-1 for the underdog entry. So overall good episode. But a lot of basketball once again that we saw. Some of it was entertaining. Some of it was a blowout, I'd say, fashion. Either way, point is a lot of stuff to recap, and we got a lot of games to talk about today. So can't complain. Should be fun.
Yeah, at least of two games on national TV early yesterday. The Knicks, Celtics, and Mavericks Warriors were turned into a little bit of a blowout there. I think the Celtics dominated a little bit more than what the final score indicated. I know Mikal Bridges hit a couple of meaningless three-pointers at the end of that fourth quarter to, I guess, make the score look a little bit more respectable. But I think the Knicks are now, I believe it said 0-7 against the Celtics, Thunder. I think the other team was the Cavs, if I'm not mistaken, thus far this season. So I mean, this will probably turn into a big conversation here, but I am in the camp right now. I just don't feel like the Knicks are a legitimate title contender with as constructed roster. And we did see Karl Anthony Towns suffered some type of knee injury. He did return, but just didn't look the same. So there's a possibility, Scott, that he could maybe miss some time here for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, I called the Knicks frauds about, I don't know, a month ago, give or take. I stand by it. They've gotten blown out every time they faced off against elite competition. I know that you can make the argument the Knicks are still a team that could reach the conference finals, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. Do I see them beating the Cavs or the Knicks in a playoff series? No. Would they beat the Thunder in a playoff series? No. The Lakers beat them before Luka got there. Well, AD was still injured. Would they beat the Lakers in a series? Probably not. So I don't take them seriously at all when it comes to actual contention. They might repeat what they did last year, which is to lose in the conference semis, maybe in heartbreaking fashion. Maybe they get a step beyond that. But I don't see them in the finals. I think we'd agree on that. And I feel like I have to state again, even though my team is actually fighting for a play-in spot, I appreciate the 5 first-round picks and a pick swap for Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just feels like that this is part of the season where some of those injuries are going to start mounting here for the Knicks, and maybe something that lingers through the rest of the season because Tibbs, again, just decides to play his starters into the ground even when they're down by 20-plus points with about...
Doesn't make any sense. You said Cat might miss some time. Cat got injured. They brought him back in around 20. Like, I don't understand what really is going on here. I know the Derrick Rose injury happened when they were winning in a playoff game, but you figure after your best player has a career-altering injury, who would have been what could have been a face of the league for a long time, you figure at some point you would change your tune about usage with your players and you try to rest some guys more. After last year, where Josh Hart gets injured, Brunson gets hurt. Your entire team unravels in the playoff series against Indiana, including Anunoby, because of the usage and the amount of time on court these guys play. And Tibbs just looked at the entire team dying last year and said, no, we're just going to run it back. Like, even if you are not a full, I'd say, fully in charge of the actual rotations, if you are an assistant coach or if you're even the owner of the team, somebody's got to talk to this guy. Like, I know that I don't root for the Knicks, so seeing them lose is amusing to me, but still, I feel bad just looking at Knicks fans trying to, will their teams to what could be a deep playoff run, and you see Thibodeau just consistently year after year throwing out exhausted players in garbage time for no apparent reason, and they get injured again in May or June, and you keep pointing back to what happened in the regular season, and it's the same thing every year. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the Towns coming back into the game down 20 after the injury he suffered is actually inexcusable. That makes absolutely no sense at all, and nobody else Thibodeau accountable for it. The media tries to, but Thibodeau's been doing this for years.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, again, it just feels like they're on the same narrative or the same story of what transpired for this Knicks team last season. And all the injuries did catch up to them in the playoffs against the Indiana Pacers, who they fell to them in the conference semifinals last year. Pretty standard, I guess, across the league. We did see a final score of 148, 190, or sorry, 148, 143 between the Pistons and Hawks, 291 points in regulation. Suns continue to falter. I think not a hot take, but they are going to probably end up missing the playoffs. Warriors looking really good now with the acquisition of Golden State looking good with Jimmy Butler now. I think they're 5-1 now since the trade with Jimmy Butler. So, they got the piece next to Stephen Curry. We'll see if it leads to any serious success for this Golden State Warriors team, but they've looked really good. Defensively, they look really good. Offensively, Steph Curry started to look like at least a guy that I expected what he would look like throughout the season by scoring the basketball, racking up the assists there as well. The role players have also stepped up. And look, they're also still with that one Jonathan Kuminga. So that's going to be another big piece for them coming back. I did see a note that he's going to miss another 2 games here before they do get him back. I mean, with the way this team is playing right now, Scott, I would honestly just take my time bringing him back because you really want him, healthy and ready for the playoffs, especially with how Jimmy, Draymond, Steph, and the bench has been playing for this Warriors team thus far. I know they haven't played maybe the greatest competition, but wins are wins right now for this Warriors team.
Well, still important back-to-back games, though, because they were able to beat the Kings and the Mavericks, who they're fighting for in the play-in. So definitely a very important pair of games there for Golden State. Now, it's definitely worked better immediately than I thought. I thought they would get better. I thought Butler would be a bit rusty after not playing for about a month, and he's been fantastic since he got there. Butler's always been a high IQ basketball player, and that's definitely on display with this team, especially defensively. The issue is, eventually, time kind of shows his issues, especially with, I'd say, being a little bit tough to handle as a franchise, and that's why he's burned a bunch of bridges along the way. Now, do I think it's going to work in the short term? Sure. I think they might be, once again, an 8 seed, a 7 seed, something like that. Am I picking them to make it to the Western Conference Finals or to make a serious run? No, because the Western Conference is really, really good. So I feel like you're looking at a spot where the Warriors might be relevant enough to get into the field, which I would say would not have happened if they did not make the Butler trade. The problem, though, is that Butler's 34-35, and he just signed a 2-year extension for $120 million. So you have to look at the big picture thing as well. Now, they've looked very good. You said before they were against some teams that have not exactly been the greatest competition, still dominated the Kings and dominated the Mavericks. They are a solid team right now. Do I think they're good enough to make a deep run? No. Are they fun to watch now? Yes. But I think at the end of the day, the trade's going to be viewed as a slight needle mover because it made them a potential relevant wild card dark horse candidate threat. But I don't view them as anything beyond that. Do you? Like, I don't see them going on a Miami Heat play-in to the title of to a finals. I don't see that happening. I see Golden State maybe upsetting a team in the first round.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. That's kind of what I see what the ceiling is. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would think so. I think I really want to see what this team looks like with Kuminga does come back because he was playing really, really good for this team prior to his injury there. But I mean, look, we've seen Jimmy Butler, what he's been able to do in the playoffs when he was with the Miami Heat. We know Steph Curry's resume and all the titles speak for himself. So could they be a sneaky team? It's a possibility. It's still the Warriors, right? But I need to see it before I can, believe in this team. And look, they've taken care of business right now with Jimmy Butler after the trade here. So that's going to be a team that I want to keep my eye on how they're doing. I think more importantly for me defensively, because I know what they are capable of offense now. But now that you have a legitimate guy next to a guy like Steph Curry, and Curry just again, this is the guy that I was expecting to see throughout the season, but it was just tough for him having to be that guy every single night and trying to get the other guys involved before him, taking over in games. And I think that's exactly what he did yesterday against his Dallas Mavericks team in that third quarter, where he pretty much, said night. He had his signature move there, and it was pretty much history for this Mavericks team. I know they're compromised at that front court position. But at the same time, it's again, I think that there's something to this Warriors team going forward. So we still have about 26, 27 games left for this Warriors team. So I'm going to definitely be keeping an eye on them for sure.
I'll put it this way, just to as a last point.
Sure.
If I was a top seed like Golden State, or if you want to go for a potential 2 seed, I would be more scared of the Lakers, who made a massive addition, than the Warriors, who made a massive addition.
Yeah.
I still think the Lakers are better than this Warriors team. So when you go down the line of who you'd actually pick in a series with Golden State against in the Western Conference, I would take them against Houston. Okay. No offense. Memphis, maybe. We'll see if Ja's healthy or not. But I would probably take Denver. I would take OKC. I would take the Lakers. Okay. So your ceiling for Golden State is still pretty limited, but it's higher than it was 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right, Scott, before we do get into the games here for tonight, just a reminder, I gear up for March with March Madness, promo code MADNESS for 20% off of the SGPN store. Get it now before the promo code is gone. Again, go over there, store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. March Madness right around the corner, 20% off of the SGPN store. So get over there, store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. All right, let's get into the games here for tonight. We'll start off here with the first game on the schedule. We'll go with the Denver Nuggets. They are visiting the Indiana Pacers on the road. Nuggets are laying 5 points on the road here with a total of 245.5. Injury report. Let's start here with the Denver Nuggets. Let me scroll back up here. For Denver. Okay, that's not the right date. Where's Denver? All right, here we go. So they have Aaron Gordon listed as probable, Jamal Murray as probable, and then Peyton Watson continues to be out for this team. So they're still a very healthy team. For the Indiana Pacers, not yet one submitted because they did, I believe, play yesterday. Yes, they did against the Clippers. They won that game 129-111. In a game where, just take a look at the starters' minutes here for them. Most starters played around 30 minutes. Siakam, Nembhard, Hallie all played 30 minutes. Aaron Nesmith, 25. Miles Turner played 31. So not significant minutes logged by the starters there. And then off the bench, you had Mathurin played 21 minutes. TJ McConnell, 15. Obi Toppin, 24, and so on. But Scott, Denver laying 5 here on the road with a total of 245.5. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Denver in this game. I think it's just a better spot. Denver, we saw last time get their asses kicked by the Lakers. That was a bloodbath. That game was over pretty quickly, and Jokic only made 2 shots in the entire game. Props to the Lakers, by the way. It looks very good defensively. Luka had a great game. LeBron played well. And it just felt like Denver was extremely, I'd say, blindsided by what the Lakers were doing defensively. I thought the Lakers played great. Luka looked great, but I think it's a good spot for Denver to come into this game pissed off after getting embarrassed by the Lakers. And you're looking at Indiana, who had a nice win at home, so there was no travel involved. But the point is, the Clippers game was high scoring. That game landed 240. Halliburton had a great game at 29-12. But I think based on the spot, is definitely better for Denver. Not even just the rest advantage, but also coming in off of a really embarrassing loss after winning 9 straight prior to that blowout defeat to the Lakers. I just think it's a very good spot for Denver to, I'd say, get some frustrations out against Indiana. I think Indiana will come in pretty satisfied with how they played over the last couple of days, beating the Clippers, beating the likes of the Grizzlies and the Wizards as well. So Indiana's in a good mood. but it might be a good letdown spot naturally after beating up on a Clippers team that is pretty solid as well in the Western Conference. So I am going to go Denver -5. Think it's a good spot for them to get back on track after what happened over the weekend.
Yeah. The Indiana Pacers on back-to-back situations, ATS this season in the first half, just 1-7 against the number, and then overall for the game, ATS 2-6 against the number in those spots there. So they haven't fared very well in back-to-back situations thus far this season, and they've struggled on the offensive side as well. Their team total has gone under 6 of those 8 games thus far this season. So yeah, I like the Denver Nuggets here. You mentioned it, coming off of a embarrassing loss against the Lakers. A good opportunity for them to get their road trip started on the right foot with the rest advantage in this game against the Indiana Pacers here. So I'll lay the 5 here with the Denver Nuggets. Totals at 245.5 here, Scott. My first inclination looking at it was Denver team total over. I'll dig a little bit more into it, but as far as the overall game total, kind of feel like maybe the Pacers run out of legs, especially it being on the second leg of a back-to-back. But I know the Stars didn't play a lot of minutes, but I think I would expect a better effort defensively from Denver here. But I think Denver team total over would be the look for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tricky spot with the over in this game because Indiana's on a back-to-back, but it is over or pass for me. I like Joker triple-double.
Yeah.
I'm not going to overthink it at +104. He had an off game against the Lakers. He had a triple-double anyway in 3 quarters, but I can see him having a solid game. I think he had a triple-double in his last game against Indiana, and I think the game before that, he was 1 assist short. So he's been great against this team. If you're picking this game to get into the 240s in general, you probably just expect Joker to have his fingerprints all over the basketball in this game. Give me Joker triple-double at plus money.
Yeah, last season, 31, 13, and 10 for Joker against the Indiana Pacers. All right, before we continue the conversation here for the Monday card, let me just tell everyone about our friends over at Edge Boost. Edge Boost has partnered up with SGPN, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at sports books, DFS sites, sweepstake sites, racetracks, or the casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks, and it's completely free. Sign up today and use promo code SGPN so you get better cashback rewards and instant tier 2 status. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet every sport plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. It's easy to deposit and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Next game on the board, we'll get over to the Chicago Bulls. They are visiting the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers are laying 4.5 points in this game with a total of 233. Injury report for this game. I'll start here with the Chicago Bulls. They are going to be without Ayo Dosunmu. Jalen Smith is also out for this game. Patrick Williams is out as well. And Kobe White is listed as probable. For the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid is officially listed as questionable. Tyrese Maxey is questionable. Paul George is available. Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry are also out for this game. So keep an eye out for at least Maxey and Embiid in this game against the Bulls. Sixers laying 4.5 here at home, Scott, with a total of 233. What are your thoughts?
So I just want to ask about Embiid because there were some reports that he's still injured and he's going to need another surgery or two. I heard that was what's been talked about. I know. Shout out to the contract as well that his agent and him signed. Definitely one of the worst deals in modern NBA history at this point. Him and Paul George. Do we think Embiid plays again for the rest of the season? I just don't know why you would leak that. Why would you come out after losing to the Nets, by the way? Shout out to my Nets. Nick Claxton was the game winner. But the Sixers, you're looking at where they're at, and currently they're in 12th in the Eastern Conference. They're behind the Nets and the Bulls. Like, this team is awful. They've lost, I think it's 7 straight at this point.
Yeah.
Reports are coming out that Embiid is still injured, and they're going to reevaluate. Isn't that code word for we're about to shut you down?
Yeah.
If you had to guess. I don't know if he's going to play for the rest of the season. So he's questionable, but it would not shock me if he ended up back on the shelf.
I think this was like the 2 games here that if they ended up going 2-0 against teams that were in front of you in the play-in tournament bracket. That all right, you make a push, but let's say they end up losing here tonight. You're pretty much. I mean, you're still only a game and a half back. But again, you play Chicago tonight. Let's just say Chicago beats you. Now you're 2.5 back.
It's also fool's gold, though, because I'm sure everyone in the building knows, even if we claw, kind of like the Suns right now, even if you claw out of it and you end up in the play-in, you're getting your ass kicked in the play-in.
Yeah.
Like, so what's the point?
Yeah. So I don't know. I would shut them down, especially like you mentioned with the amount of money that they are paying him.
Am I reading into it that much though? Because Embiid got benched. He was actively benched in the fourth quarter against the Nets. They didn't play.
Yeah.
He didn't play a minute in the fourth quarter.
Right.
And now reports come out that once again he might need another surgery or two. This is just setting up for them to shut him down immediately, right? Like, why would you leak that unless you planned on having an excuse to not play him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, and again, this is not a team that is gonna even, let's just say they even get into the play-in tournament. Like, do we think they make it in as a top or the 7th or 8th seed? I
No.
think we're both in the camp that I don't think they are. So you might as well just shut it down for Embiid, at least get his surgery done. Maybe he's ready for the start of next season. Even that's a big question mark for him. And then you're just adding more miles on Tyrese Maxey's tires.
He's questionable too.
Yeah. So I mean, at this point, like you have 26 games left. I mean, just shut him down. You're not going anywhere this season. You're not going to win a championship. You're not even going to make it past the first or second round. You're not going to make it past the first round, even if you do get there. So I'd shut him down, which just kind of tells me I'm on the Bulls here tonight, Scott.
I'm on the Bulls on principle. The Sixers were laying, I think it was 11.5. It might have been 13.5 at the end when D'Lo got ruled out and they lost anyway to the Nets at home. This team's a joke. Yes, the Bulls are terrible too, and I'm aware of that. So this is honestly borderline toilet bowl territory. Like, these teams are horrible. Like, you can definitely play the drop if you want to, but I can't lay the 4.5. Like, these teams are horrible. I can't. The Bulls are bad, but occasionally they'll find a way to BS and win a game more than fans are happy about. I mean, JT, I know, keeps wanting the Bulls to lose, and they keep winning enough games to keep him annoyed. But I'll go with the points here with the Bulls. I can't back a team that's lost 7 straight laying 4.5 when half of their starters might not play. Paul George is at least mentally not there most of the time. Embiid, I think, might be shut down immediately. We'll see what happens there. Maxey might not play. Like, what do you have? You're laying 4.5. This team's a joke. It's either Bulls or pass.
Yep.
Point.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, and then you're also missing. I mean, Lowry doesn't really make a difference. I mean, Eric Gordon, another bench piece. So you're very, very thin at that point. So what is the Kelly Oubre show and the Yabusele show for?
I like Yabusele as a last-second addition that they got during the offseason, who's been solid. Oubre's been fine, but it's kind of like what I talked about with the Suns. You have 3 guys who you are banking on to carry your entire team.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the Suns, and Booker's had a pretty decent year. Durant's been fine. Beal's been a mess for most of it, even better lately. Sixers have had Maxey, who's been up and down. Embiid and Paul George have been horrible. But unless your big 3 play insanely well all the time, your depth is not that great. And that's kind of what's happened here, because Paul George and Embiid have either not been available or they've been really bad when they have been available. And as a result, you're relying on guys like Kyle Lowry, and you're relying on guys. I know that you ended up having a serious injury with McCain, who's having a good year, but you're relying a lot on role players to do extra because your main guys don't do anything.
Right.
So I can't back the Sixers at this point. This team's a joke.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams combined have lost 13 in a row, 7 in a row for the Sixers, 6 in a row for the Chicago Bulls. Like Chicago,
I can't bet this damn game.
But yeah, like Chicago has, all right, like they traded away Levine. You don't have the roster that the Sixers have.
Yeah.
So you can't really fault the Chicago Bulls, but I think for the Sixers team has been at least one of the more disappointing seasons in recent memory.
You can argue that this is the most disappointing big 3 so far. We're only in year 1. I know that the Beal one right now with the Suns is probably up there. Since the Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, Kobe Lakers, like, this is what we're approaching here, where the big 3 era might be potentially completely dead, because these are 2 cases of just paying a bunch of money to 3 guys, and it has completely just unraveled these franchises for what could be multiple years in the future.
Yeah. And a lot of this obviously is injury related because you have two players on this team that have, at least for the past several seasons, maybe not as much for Paul George, but Embiid has just been on another level as far as the injuries have
Well,
affected
George has
his
also been
career.
injured, a
Yeah,
decent
yeah,
amount in his career.
sure.
So
Yeah,
they put a lot of money into some risky propositions and they failed miserably.
yeah.
So not good.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Next game on the board, we'll go with the Brooklyn Nets. They are in the nation's capital to take on the Wizards as a 3-point favorite. Are the Nets on the road with a total of now up to 217 for this game? Looking at the injury report, let's start here with the Brooklyn Nets. They will be. Where are the Brooklyn Nets? All right, so Nick Claxton is available. Noah Clowney is out. D'Angelo Russell is out. Cam Thomas is out as well. Wizards, not yet one submitted because they did play yesterday, did the Washington Wizards. Let me just pull up their score from yesterday. They lost to the Magic on the road, 110-90, now having to travel back home to host the Brooklyn Nets. Scott, your Nets laying 3 here.
Yeah, I'll go with the Nets in this one. They did lose the last game to Washington. I believe Koulibaly had a triple-double in that game. The Nets, though, have been somehow winning. Like, this team plays hard. It's all I got to say. Now, going into the year, I was hoping they would tank. I was hoping they had a shot at Cooper Flag. Instead, they might make the play-in, which I really did not see coming. But Jordy Fernandez, really, really good at his job. But the Wizards, I think, are not any good. We saw them lose to the Bucks in a game where Giannis fouled out in about 19 minutes. Lillard didn't play. They lost the game anyway. Then they played Orlando. They could not score to save their lives the entire game. This team sucks. Like, they're the worst team in the league by far. The Nets have actually been feisty. Yes, I know they lost the last game to the Wizards. You can argue that there's some motivation in favor of the Nets to get some revenge. I like the under in this game. I don't trust either team to do anything offensively in this matchup, and Middleton's allegedly going to play. He is probably going to play 25 minutes in this game, give or take, but give me the under. I just see
Yeah.
an ugly game between two teams that are not great. The Wizards are horrible. The Nets, I can't even say are bad because they might make the play-in. But you get my point. The
Yeah.
Nets can't score. They play good defense, and I think that's going to result in a pretty ugly game. Give me the under. First team to 105 wins.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, in-season revenge for the Brooklyn Nets. Wizards on a back-to-back situation. This is also their third game in 4 nights for the Washington Wizards, so that's always a bit of a fatigue spot. And Wizards this season, like the Pacers, have not been very good in back-to-back situations. In the first half against the number 1-8 are the Wizards, and then 2-7 against the spread are the Wizards for full game in back-to-back situations here. So Wizards team total under, something I would be intrigued by here, like you mentioned, Scott, that the Nets have been playing some really good defense. They've been doing enough, I think, to win basketball games and at least stay in contention for a possible play-in tournament spot in the Eastern Conference. The Wizards are also winless in their 9 back-to-back situations this season. 0-9 in the first half in second games of a back-to-back, and then 0-9 full game as well in back-to-back situations. So if you want to just play the money line and just fade the Wizards, around minus 155 over on DraftKings, shop around for the best number. But I'd go Nets -3, and I agree about the under in this game as well. All right, let's keep it moving here. Next game on the board, we'll go over to the LA Clippers there in the Motor City to take on the Detroit Pistons. Pistons catching 2.5 points here at home with a total of 233. Injury report for the LA Clippers. They did play yesterday, so they get that extra time to submit the injury report. Kawhi did not play yesterday, and Norman Powell didn't play yesterday. So keep an eye out for those two guys if they do end up playing. Pistons also did play yesterday. So both teams on a back-to-back here. We talked about it. Pistons and the Hawks were in that absolute barn burner. 148-143 in regulation. Big game from Cade Cunningham yesterday. 38 points, 12 dimes in that game. Clippers fell to the Pacers yesterday, 111, or sorry, I should say 129-111. Let me just take the minutes here for the Clippers side of things. So Harden did play 35 minutes last night. That was a team high. They had Bogdan Bogdanovic played 29 minutes. Ben Simmons played 24 minutes yesterday. So again, keep an eye out for the Clippers if you do see Kawhi and or Norman Powell play here tonight. But Scott, the Clippers are laying 2.5 here on the road, man. What are you thinking?
I think I am going to go with the Clippers, but mainly because Detroit had an absolute just track meet yesterday that landed 291, I think. I mean, when you have that many points and you're playing immediately again the next day, I got to imagine your legs feel like jello, right? I mean, I have to imagine that you're going to have a hard time going up and down the court.
Yep.
Clippers did end up losing to the Pacers. That was a game where they really just didn't show up defensively, especially in the first half, really the first three quarters, gave up 31 plus in each of the first three. You can make an argument Detroit, though, has been in great form, and I get that Cade has been a monster this season. I know you're happy about that with the most improved player, but I do think it makes sense why the Clippers are getting some money on them in this game. It's gone up from around, I think it was plus 1.5 to minus 2.5. There is a chance maybe the Pistons sit some guys. We'll see. They've won 6 straight, though. They've been in great form. The Clippers, I know, have been kind of slumping lately, but I feel like if I was comparing the two outcomes from yesterday, I got to imagine that Pistons game is so much harder physically to recover from for the second night of a back-to-back. I'll go with the Clippers, probably not going to bet the game, to be honest, but
Yep.
I think I will go with the Clippers, hoping that Kawhi plays after not playing yesterday.
Yeah, I would assume that because they were on a back-to-back situation here, that they were going to hold Kawhi out for one of the two games, and it ended up being the one that they played on Sunday. So we'll see if he does end up playing here tonight. I think that if he is traveling, obviously with the team, that he would end up playing in this game. But I think you make a great point, Scott, that hey, the Pistons were up and down last night, or I should say yesterday, against the Hawks. A lot of pace, a lot of shots getting up. That maybe they cool off a little bit here tonight. Maybe some tired legs catch up to them in the second half. Clippers defensively have also been really good, so I think there's an opportunity that when we talk about law of averages, that Pistons shot the ball very well yesterday. Maybe this is a game where they come out and have a little bit of a clunker. So I'd go Clippers minus 2.5, gun to my head. I do like the under in the game at 223. I think the pace obviously does slow down a little bit in this game. Clippers don't really play at a high pace. And like I mentioned, they've been playing really good defense thus far this season, have the Clippers there. Anything else for this game?
Not really. Maybe if you want to go for Harden assists or something, that could be an option. But maybe if you want to go for like Zubac to have a solid game. I mean, I feel like they've been using his minutes, though. I'd say less frequently. It seems like they've been kind of pivoting away from Zubac a bit recently, which I don't know if I agree with, because I think that Zubac's actually been good for them so far this season.
Yeah.
Duran, I feel like it's unpredictable at times, but I feel like it should be a good game for Harden or maybe for Cade or both. So I'd probably just stick with the star power guys on this one. I would go with Norm if he was playing.
Yeah.
But once again, that's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, I feel like it's mostly relying on Harden to have himself a solid matchup.
Yeah, Zubac has been averaging about 33 minutes over the last 10 games, 32 minutes on the road thus far this season. So they're kind of keeping him in that range of about 32 to 33 minutes per game. Did play 37 in that game against the Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday, where he did have 15 rebounds. So this could be a game.
I think Zubac has a solid matchup here.
Yeah, I think that he has a big rebounding game here tonight. He's averaging 12.5 rebounds per game this season. It's very slightly ticks up on the road, 12.7 for Zubac. So if you want to play a prop in this game, that would be the one I would look at for Zubac rebounds. All right, before we continue the breakdown here for the Monday card, let me remind everybody about our friends over at Rhythm. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party, and you're invited. All Rhythm users are invited to a first four watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the Awesome Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas. Free drinks, plus you get to hang out with the guys from the Sports Gambling Podcast and the college experience. It gets better. Rhythm is also giving away a $250 March Madness future for one lucky Rhythm user. Just sign up for your 7-day free trial at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. Come by and use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket and make some bets while you are there. A free party plus a chance at a $250 future bet. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party. And we're also brought to you by Underdog, NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever your sport, you can cash in big with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. I like that Zubac one we just talked about. I'll have that in my entry here for tonight. So sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to 1,000 in bonus cash at underdogfantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. All righty, let's get over to the next game on the schedule. We'll go over to the Miami Heat. They are in Atlanta to take on the Hawks in this matchup. The Heat are laying a point in this game with the total now up to 229 and a half. Looking at the injury report, start here with the Miami Heat. They are also, I believe, on a back-to-back situation here, as well as the Atlanta Hawks, like we talked about. They played in that game against the Detroit Pistons yesterday. So they get that extra time to submit the injury report. Heat did lose to the Bucks yesterday, 120 to 113. And in that game, we saw Tyler Hero play 40 minutes. He scored 40 points in 40 minutes on 27 shots, had 11 assists, 7 rebounds. Andrew Wiggins played 40 minutes. Adebayo 35, Ware 37, Davion Mitchell 34. Only had 4 guys come off of the bench for them, so maybe you see some tired legs here, honestly, for both teams here. But Scott, Heat laying a point on the road here against the Hawks. What are your thoughts?
So even though I just said a second ago in that Clippers game, I would want to fade the Pistons after that marathon game, I really just can't back the Heat right now. They are so bad in the fourth quarter. I feel like people have like half acknowledged it, but they haven't realized just how bad they are late in games. They had that Thunder game where they gave up a 24-0 run to start the quarter. The Bucks game yesterday, I think they were up after 3. They choked that game away 2. They just never make it easy on themselves, ever. I think both these teams aren't good. I think the entire division's an absolute joke. My pick for this game is 1-10. Somebody's going to win this game by 1-10 points. And if you want to go for a largest comeback, 10 plus, I don't mind that either. Because I don't trust either of these teams. I think this game could be chaotic. I think it should be chaotic. And both teams are in pretty bad scheduling spots. Yeah, give me the largest comeback, 10 plus, because I don't trust either of these teams at all to actually win a game. And I feel like Miami might be up early. They might choke it again late. We'll see what happens. But give me the largest comeback, 10 plus, and I'll move on to another game.
Yeah, not much for back-to-back stats or back-to-back game stats here as far as ATS wise. Miami Heat in the first half 6-4 against the number. The Hawks 7-3-1 against the number in the first half, and then the Heat are 5-5 ATS on back-to-backs, and the Hawks are 5-6. So not much there. The Hawks are 9-2 towards the under on their team total in back-to-back situations. So again, this could be a game. Maybe you see some tired legs showing up, maybe some short shots, things like that. I honestly have no idea what to do with this game. You probably have the 1-10 handicap right for this game, Scott.
I can't tell you who's going to win, though, so I don't have it right. That's just a guesstimation, but I prefer the largest comeback 10 plus. Expect one of these teams to fall apart as the game goes along.
Yeah. So again, gun to my head, I'd go with the Heat here minus the 1, but I don't love it. I won't be betting it. I will be watching, but again, no action for me on this game. Next game on the board, a rematch of yesterday between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder laying 12 points here at home with a total of 229. And as I mentioned, these two teams just played last night on Sunday, where the Thunder did get the 130-123 victory against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now the game shifts to OKC for this matchup. Injury report, of course, since they played each other yesterday, they both get the extra time to submit the injury report. So keep an eye out for that. My guess would be Chet does not play here, Scott, tonight for the Thunder team, being on a back-to-back situation. So maybe you see Isaiah Hartenstein see an uptick in stats at least, or minutes. Maybe if you want to look at a rebounding prop for him, we'll get to that momentarily here. But Thunder laying 12 at home hosting the Timberwolves. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to take the points. I think it's way too many points. We've seen Minnesota actually give this Thunder team problems over the last couple of meetings. Gobert might play, So that's going to be a nice boost if he ends up coming back for defensive purposes. But
Mhm.
that game was interesting yesterday. OKC was up by a lot early. Minnesota went on a massive run to end the first half. OKC won the game, but it was competitive. I think they won by 7 in the end. So I think 12's too many. Chet, we know they've been rightfully careful with back-to-backs. We'll see if he ends up playing in this game or not. But either way, point is Minnesota, I think, just has a decent matchup with this team, at least getting 12 points. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think they can keep this game respectable. They kept the last couple games respectable. So I think that 12 is a lot of points, giving Minnesota to lose this game by similar score to yesterday. 9 maybe, but 12? It's a lot of points. I'll take Minnesota.
Yeah, I think that this is a good opportunity for at least the Wolves to keep it competitive. And both teams here, third game in 4 nights, second, like we mentioned, second game of back to back. Kind of take a look at the historical matchups. I mean, there was a game where Minnesota won by 15 back on February 13th against the Thunder, but outside of that, these games have been relatively close. I mean, the last 5 games, 5-point victory for the Thunder, 6-point victory for the Wolves, 8-point victory for the Thunder. Like I meant, that 15-point was an outlier. And then last night, like we talked about,
There's an
7-point
outlier with
victory.
Minnesota winning. They
Yeah,
covered
it's
no line
Minnesota
anyway.
winning. You're right. Yeah. The other blowout was, I think this was maybe last season, a 23-point victory for the Thunder. But outside of that, Minnesota has done a very good job of at least keeping this game competitive here. So I'm with you. Plus the 12 here for Minnesota. Just quickly throw out some back-to-back back-to-back night stats here for you guys. Thunder are 4-7 ATS in the first half on back-to-back situations. 6-4-1 ATS on back-to-backs for the full game, and Minnesota 5-4. So not a lot there, but I think a good spot here for at least Minnesota to keep it competitive, or who even knows, possibly win the game outright. You have anything for the total, Scott?
I mean, yesterday's game was extremely high scoring. I think it'll
Yeah,
be more low scoring this time around.
sure.
I'll go with the under, hoping
Okay.
that you get the. It's kind of the Terrell theory when it comes to immediate rematches. You take the opposite of what happened the first time around, but
Yeah.
I think this total might be a bit of an overreaction what happened yesterday. I'll go with the under, expecting more of a physical grind, especially if Gobert plays.
Yeah. With you on that, on the total here. Under would be the look here for me as well. Seems like it's starting to tick up a little bit. So if you want to wait to get the best number on the total there, I think you probably get one better closer to game time. All right, 2 games left here on the schedule. We'll go over to the Portland Trailblazers. They are in Utah to take on the Jazz. Portland laying 5.5 on the road here with a total of 233.5. Injury report for the Portland Trailblazers. They will be without DeAndre Ayton, and Robert Williams III is also out for this game. So 2 of your centers are out. It'll be the Donovan Clingan show for the Portland Trailblazers. For the Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Taylor Hendricks are all out. Colin Sexton is also out. And then you have questionable tags on Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen in this game. So a lot of players here that are out for the Utah Jazz. But nonetheless, Blazers laying 5.5 here, Scott, total 233.5.
Yeah, this total or actual side keeps going up in favor of Portland. I think they killed this team.
Yeah.
You're looking at Utah's injury report, and Lauri's questionable. You're looking at Kessler being questionable. Collins is already out. Sexton's already out. Clarkson's already out. So we've seen Lauri being questionable before with Kessler. I think Ainge was pissed they beat Houston. So now they got to tank a game. So I don't mind, once again, Portland kicking this team's ass. Portland, we saw win by about 50 last time out. I think that Portland is a team that defensively has found a certain, I'd say, cohesion with the current unit. I know they had a bit of a let up right before the All-Star break. Lost to the Lakers, though. They forced LeBron into 11 turnovers. LeBron did have 40 points, but still, then they beat Charlotte handily in the game after. I think LaMelo went like 1 of 10 from the floor. Utah, though, assuming that both Lauri and Kessler are out, along with the other guys I mentioned before, they don't have anybody. I think Portland is a bad matchup for Utah. I think they have enough firepower to get the job done. I'll go with Portland minus 5.5, even though the line did move a couple points already.
Yeah, I'm all over Portland here. I think, again, like we mentioned, half of the roster is missing here for the Utah Jazz. I think this could be, again, a big Anthony Simons game. Kamara defensively has been really good. These guys have been playing hard coming out of the All-Star break, and I think that continues here in this game against Utah Jazz, who are going to be without, again, like I mentioned, their top guys here. So keep an eye out if even if Walker Kessler or Lauri Markkanen play here tonight for the Utah Jazz. But I think Portland rolls in this game. -5.5 would be the look here for me. Portland team total over would be the look as far as a total in this game. Not sure how much Utah would contribute to the full game total, but I think Portland does have their way offensively in this game here at what would be the number? Maybe like 120.5 ish. Let me
I'm
see.
going the other way. I'd rather take Utah team total
Team
under.
total under. Yeah, it makes sense. Let's see, just for the number. Yeah, 119.5 for the Portland Trailblazers and 113.5 for the Utah Jazz in this game. Anything else for this game, Scott?
Not really. I think Kamara should have a solid game defensively. He had a great game against Charlotte, but I actually like his steals and blocks at 2.5. He's had at least 3 in 5 straight. So I think that he's just an overall solid defensive player. Utah allowing the most steals and the most blocks per game in the entire league. Also leading the league in turnovers. So that's why Utah sucks. But I see a good game for Kamara. Think he'll be able to make a statement defensively. And I just think Utah, with so many guys being expected to miss this game,
Yeah,
I don't see many guys contributing enough to keep this game close. Give me Portland. And once again, I like their defense to play well.
All right, last game of the night is going to be the Charlotte Hornets. They are visiting the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento. Kings laying, 11 in this game with a total of 233. Starting to see some 233.5s pop up. Injury report for the Charlotte Hornets. They will be without Mark Williams, Brandon Miller, Trey Mann, Josh Okogie, and of course Grant Williams. For the Sacramento Kings, I don't know why I don't see an injury.
I don't see anybody listed on the Kings.
Yeah, so I think they are a full go in this game, are the Sacramento Kings here. So no injuries to worry about there. But Kings laying 11 against the Charlotte Hornets here. Scott, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, on principle, I'll take the points. There are some teams I'll just refuse to lay double digits with. The Kings are one of those teams. Why? Based on what I've seen for the last couple of weeks, since Levine got there, why would I want to lay double digits with this team? Like, I understand the Hornets lost the last game by about 50. Like, I get it. It was rough. They also beat the Lakers. Like, I feel like this team is good enough to hang around against the Kings team that has really been playing bad basketball. Makes sense. They traded away their best player because they were trying to get some picks, prepare for the future, stuff like that. 11's a lot of points. I think the Hornets can lose. LaMelo, I think, will play better than he did against Portland. He couldn't play any worse. He went 1 of 10 from the floor in that game. But 11, it's a lot of points for a team that doesn't guard anybody. Give me the Hornets plus the points. I don't feel good about it because I know I don't like the Charlotte team, but with LaMelo being active, they are a lot better than when he sits, and 11 is a lot of points.
Yeah. I think it's a pride thing for the Hornets after losing by 53 points.
I hope it is.
Against the Portland Trailblazers. But yeah, you're right. The Kings has been one of the team that's been on many people's list of not laying double-digit points. And I mean, on paper, this Kings team should actually destroy the Hornets, but there's always ways that the Kings let teams back in the game, especially late, or maybe sometimes like, a backdoor cover here. So I'd look towards the Hornets, but again, I would not be betting this at all. The one play I would be confident, Scott, is the Kings team total over, because we know the Hornets aren't playing any lick of defense. I mean, Portland put up 141 against them. They're missing their top defensive guy in Brandon Miller. You don't have that really rim protection without Mark Williams out there. So I do think at least offensively the Kings can have success. So I would look at their team total to go over in this game. You have anything for the total?
For the total, I think I'll go over, but I don't feel great about it. Maybe Hornets team total over, and you hope Sacramento just no-shows the entire game defensively, but I don't really feel great about anything for this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, they gave up 129 to Denver. They gave up 141 to the Portland Trailblazers. I know they held the Lakers in that makeup game to only 97 points, but I think that was more of an outlier for this Hornets team than anything. So, all right, so that's the last game of the night on the Monday card. two orders of business. We've got our lock and dog, and then we'll put together our underdog fantasy entry for the Monday games here. Scott, you want to lead us off with your lock and dog?
Sure. So for the lock, do I actually want to go somewhat bold with the lock? I think I'll do it actually based on what we talked about in the head-to-head history. Give me Minnesota plus the 12.5. It's a lot of points. I think it's a lot of points, even though the Thunder I know are the better team. Minnesota, you read through the previous meetings. They have been pretty annoying to handle for OKC. OKC was in a close game against them. Was it yesterday? That was a 7-point game in the end. You saw Gobert might return to action today. We'll see if Chet plays a back-to-back. Who knows? But I think you're in a spot where Minnesota matches up decently against this team. I'm not saying that they're going to win the game, but 12.5 is a lot for a team that has been consistently hanging around against this opponent. I think that with Ant having a solid game, I think you're looking at Naz Reid and Gobert being able to match up pretty well against Chet and Hartenstein, assuming Chet even plays in this game. It's dangerous because the Timberwolves I know we can't trust, but I think they can do enough to lose this game by single digits. Give me the plus 12.5. OKC doesn't care. If OKC ends up winning the game outright, that's all they care about. So it's not like they're going to try to run it up. Give me the Timberwolves plus the 12.5 as my lock there. For my dog, I'm going to go back to what I said before. Give me the prop on DraftKings. Give me largest comeback in the Heat-Hawks game, 10-plus points at plus 210. In other words, the team has to trail by 10 at any team and win the game. That game's going to be just an absolute, it's just going to be complete chaos. These teams are bad. They are not good at holding leads. I see a lot of drama. I see a lot of lead changes. Give me the largest comeback in the Hawks and Heat game, 10-plus points, once again, by either team at plus 210 as my dog.
All right. All right. For my lock, it's either the Blazers or I kind of like the Nets here tonight as well.
I thought about it, but I don't know. That line felt pretty trappy. Maybe they just think the Nets are terrible on paper, which they are. But
yeah, but they've actually they've been feisty. And they're actually, I guess, playing for something and have the head coaching advantage of the game as well.
I thought about Wizards team total under instead because if the Nets are going to win, they only win
through
defense.
That makes sense. I'll go with Portland. Again, this has been a team that's actually I don't want to say figured it out, but they're actually playing with pride and they're playing hard. Defensively, I think that's what a lot of times I look at when there's a team that I want to back. And I think defensively, I know, look, they gave up the 130 plus points to the Denver Nuggets, but again, it's Denver. But Utah, with all the guys that they have sitting out here tonight, I just think that it's an opportunity for the Portland Trailblazers to go in there and beat up on a porous team. And defensively, Utah has not been very good, like we talked about. So I think it's an opportunity for Portland to put up 120 plus points tonight. I think they cover the number here as well. So I'll lay the points here. Portland minus 5.5 against the Utah Jazz. For my dog play, I think Sabonis has a really big night. Rebound in the basketball, but his number is probably already got 15.5. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets into the realm of like 20 rebounds here tonight. I'm not going to fall for the Donovan Clingan ladder again, but
he gave it a good run that one time.
He was on track, but again, he just didn't play a lot in that. I won't say it was like the second half in the fourth quarter there. So, so even his rebounds are at 15.5. Let's see a double market.
Honestly, Sabonis' rebounds are like borderline unembeddable at this point. Not because he's bad, but because he's too good at rebounding. They just give you crazy numbers at this point.
I wish that Jokic number was a little bit bigger. Let's see. Claxton makes sense to me at plus 165 on his double-double.
That game winner last game.
Yeah. All right, let's go with that. Let's go with Claxton double-double. I think he could have a big night on the boards against the Wizards, and that's been usually a profitable angle. So he could get 10 and 10 here tonight. Isaiah Hartenstein's at plus 150. That's kind of interesting. All right. Yeah.
The argument would be the points for Hartenstein, because if you have Gobert back, he might not shoot that much.
Yeah. So with Claxton there, I think that he could get it done here tonight. All right. So I'll go Nick Claxton plus 165 on his double-double here tonight against the Washington Wizards. All right. Underdog Fantasy for tonight. Again, if you don't have an account already, get over there at underdogfantasy.com. Make sure that promo code NBA SGPN. Come join the fun with us. New account users get a deposit bonus of up to 50% of up to $1,000. Plus, you get a special pick as well, like a gimme pick to get you started on your Underdog Fantasy entry. So come join the fun with us. All right, Scott, where do we want to start here for tonight?
Do you want to run back Claxton as you brought him up?
Yeah, I think Claxton has a pretty solid night here. Do we want to go just rebounds? Or you want to go...
What are his points at?
12.5.
I'll go with the points.
Okay.
Because the Wizards have no rim protection either, so I think that Claxton could be, involved.
All right, so we'll start with Claxton for our entry. Do we want something from Denver Indy with a high total?
You want just Joker triple-double?
Yeah, it's probably like at... Let's see.
It shouldn't be that much because books have plus money, so it should be close to the full.
They have it at 0.79x.
0.79? Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay. Do you want to go for RA instead and just use that as a pivot?
Yeah, let's just go RA. All right, so we'll throw in Jokic, RA higher 22.5. And then what else do we like?
I'm trying to think if there's any players you want to go with for.
Don't I like anything in the Chicago game? Do we go like Cade or Harden? Anthony Edwards, Shea?
I'm trying to think if I want to go for any of those guys. I don't know if I actually do.
Edwards has been pretty good against the Thunder, but I just don't like that it's on a back-to-back.
Do you want to just do Edwards points, though, because he shoots every time he has the ball?
Yeah, we could do that.
And he takes the matches against Shea personally, stats or no stats. But yeah. I think Ant's going to be jacking up shots the entire game. Like, he didn't shoot that well yesterday, and he still had a bunch of points.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go with that. So our entry for tonight, Nick Claxton, higher 12.5 points. We'll go Jokic, rebounds and assists, higher 22.5. And Anthony Edwards, higher 26.5 points here tonight. That'll be a 6x entry. So every $10 that you do put in, and it is correct, you'll get a return of $60, courtesy of Underdog Fantasy. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Scott, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
No, not really. Should be a fun overall card. I'm trying to remember. I'm back with Terrell tomorrow, I think.
I think tomorrow is Lonte and
Terrell.
I think so. Some order, some variation.
I'll be back at some point in the week. So.
Yeah, make sure you guys know. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I think it is you and Terrell tomorrow. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Somebody
will be back.
Somebody will be here. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. You can follow Scott there at Reichel Radio. You can follow me there as well at SportsNerd824. More importantly, if you haven't already subscribed to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel, please go and do so with that subscribe button. If you are watching live, do us a favor, hit that like button on your way out. We would truly appreciate it if you guys could do that for us. All right, like we mentioned, we'll be back tomorrow in some form or fashion. Same time, same place. Look out for us then. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off, and always remember to let it ride.